of you logged on to Facebook today?
You're asking me?
All right. Twitter. I have a Twitter. I have a Twitter thing. You
They
can
just
follow
got me into Twitter.
Yeah. LinkedIn, MySpace.
That's short messages, Twitter.
Listen, the list goes on. Networking, social networking sites are skyrocketing, and corporations are definitely taking notice.
Yeah, and the question is, how do you make money from it? Advertisers are now targeting this new medium in droves. Here with more from Detroit, the head of social media at Ford Motor Company, Scott Monty, and from Orlando, the CEO of KiwiBox.com, Michael Howard. Good to see you both, gentlemen. Thanks for coming in. Scott, first to you, because I was amused to see that Alan Mulally is actually getting involved in Twitter. You've got him involved in some of these new networking techniques. How did you do that?
That's right. Well, if you know Alan Mulally, and I know he's been on the show a number of times, he's just a gregarious, outgoing kind of a guy. And he was coming out of a media scrum one day at a media event, and I said, "Hey, Alan, you want to take some questions on Twitter?" And he goes, "What's Twitter?" And
exactly.
I told him very briefly, and he goes, "Yeah, let's do it, let's do it." And I had people, real people, just across the country, asking questions directly to the CEO of Ford, and he was answering them directly.
Well, that's amazing, and I think that it's a smart way of doing business at this point if you know how many people you can reach through things like Facebook and Twitter. But let me bring in KiwiBox's Michael Howard. Michael, your own business, let's talk about how it fits into the picture and how you can explain and show people how to make money involving KiwiBox.
Yeah, I think it's a three-prong approach that we've been, I think, great at KiwiBox over the last 9 years at implementing. I think, number one, marketers and brands need to look for a social network that either targets a specific niche demographic or has content directly in line with their product. Number two, they need to find integrative and viral campaigns, and oftentimes these sites understand their audience and can create these campaigns that are truly viral. And number three, it's being aggressive yet nimble. You need to go into this with full force, and you need to be on the Twitters and the KiwiBoxes and the MySpace, and you need to look at these campaigns when they're over and find out what was effective for getting your brand in the largest amount of people in the most positive light.
Well, Scott, you're not only a networker, but you work for a company that's a huge advertiser in all kinds of media. What about this medium? We hear the potential that it has and that there is more advertising money flowing towards networking, but it still only adds up to, I think, 8% was the last figure that I heard of the total advertising. So it's still got a long way to go, doesn't it?
It does, and you know, we're not interested in advertising on social networks. We're interested in getting in there and interacting with people.
Right.
You know, now more than ever that people can self-publish and can, you know, put up their own content and be their own publishing houses. They have a voice and they expect to be heard. And when a large corporation pays attention to them and actually starts conversing with them, it really lifts the lights for a lot of people and says, wow, Ford is actually paying attention. And in my mind, you know, it's less about a campaign and more about a commitment. This is an ongoing way of doing business that we're going to see, and if we do it well at Ford, it'll be democratized across the entire
Scott,
company.
How do you find Alan? I just did Alan Mulally as a search on Twitter, and nothing came up. How do you find the Ford profile on Twitter?
Sure. Well, you can look for me, Scott Monty. I have a Ford logo on my account, and I have Ford all over my branding on my page. We also have a number of corporate accounts like Ford Drive One, Ford Drive Green, Ford Cust Service for our customer service team that's fielding questions on Twitter, Mustang trucks. The list goes on and on for, as my colleague was saying, niche areas.
By the way, I Googled Mulally and Monty. I got to say, and the question that got me was what kind of car he drives. It's not always a Ford, is it?
Not at all. Actually, Alan makes it a point to drive a different car every day, not just Ford cars, but all brands. Somebody on Twitter actually said, yeah, if Alan really wants to understand what American people are going through, he should drive a 12-year-old beater car, and then he'd get an idea.
Michael, let's bring you back into this conversation. KiwiBox targets what is considered the holy grail of demos, and that is teenagers, because they grow up to be very powerful consumers, and they do spend a lot of their parents' money. But how do you get companies, or sort of what Scott's been talking about, other entities to get involved with KiwiBox and become a part of this?
I think Scott brings up a great point that he doesn't actually consider it advertising. He's getting his brand integrated on a site and getting, you know, in our case, other marketers and other brands and products on KiwiBox in a viral manner that adds value to the users. That's the real key here, is that we're not putting products in front of them that they're not already using or interested in. We're doing it highly integrated, and we're receiving feedback from those users on what they like and what they don't like about these products. And that's something that you've never been able to do before, and that is the real power of social networking, is interacting with these users and finding out their likes and dislikes moving forward for a better product or service.
Right, you can see what Michael's talking about. Go to KiwiBox.com, get an idea of what they're doing. Michael Howard and Scott Monty from Ford. Good to see you both, gang. Thanks very much.
Scott, I just found your
Thanks
Twitter
for having
site, so I'll follow you if you follow me. I'm Liz Clayman.
I'll be right back at you, Liz.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Thanks, Scott.
Anytime.